Hi everyone, and welcome to another video where I tell you about how much money I've lost. Unrealized losses. 2 years ago I made a video similar to this where I say I've lost $90,000 and here's why I'm not worried. It wasn't a realized loss, I didn't lose the cash. I had stocks and they were down $90,000. I was a little stressed, but I knew it'll come back. It was my first recession. I was kind of excited. But now, 2 years later, I am down $100,000 in my portfolio. Unrealized losses though. I haven't sold. The stocks are down. My options are down, but I'm going to break down to you why I'm not worried and what you should do and why you shouldn't be worried either. Before we get into it, I'd like to point you to my very first course called Canadian Finance Pro. I've created a 7-hour course so far of pre-recorded content breaking down everything related to Canadian finance, investing, and real estate. Cryptocurrency is to come in the future. What I discuss is credit, budgeting, investing. I create some portfolios for you, and then every month I do a live Q&A where I spend an hour answering everyone's questions. I have almost 100 members as of the making of this video, and I'm pretty excited. Also, you get lifetime access to a Discord server where we can chat live about stocks or trades that you're interested in. Getting right into it, here is my agenda so far because I'm not good at talking off the top of my head. I will just talk to you about bear markets. What is the bear market? What is the correction? What is happening? How should you react? How should you feel? If we take a look at the world map, this is every stock and their year-to-date performance. Apple down 17, Microsoft down 22. Semiconductors have been hit hard, so Nvidia down 40%. Is there anything else you'd recognize? Amazon down 32, Tesla down 27, Facebook down 41. And if you look at the only things that are up, a little bit healthcare, this is like mildly green, and then energy sector is really green. You see Exxon up 45%, Chevron up 43%. Everyone is stressed. People are asking me, what do you do? How can you fix this? In my Discord server, people are asking questions like, help, I'm in trouble or things are down. I don't know, like I do. When you constantly see red for the last 5 months, I understand it's easy to lose hope. I've kind of gotten frustrated. We just went through a major drop just 2 years ago, and I didn't think we'd experience it again. But the more you look into the stock market, the more you look into stocks, you realize this thing happens frequently. So let's talk about what is a bear market versus what is a correction. A correction is a 10% or more drop, 10 to 20. A bear market is 20% drop. So if we look at the S&P 500, year to date, it is 16%. So it is in correction territory, not bear market territory. It doesn't make a difference to me. If you're wondering how often these happen, in the last 100 years, there have been 51 corrections. So 51 decreases of 10% or more. So that makes it almost every 2 years. In the last 100 years, there have been 27 bear markets. So 20% reduction or more. And 28 bull markets, which is interesting. So 27 bear markets, 28 bull markets. In a bear market, 20% or more, stocks lose an average of 40%. And we can see the relative decline here. I do have a little bit of an image. I should put up the source of where I got it. I'll put a link somewhere. But it tells you the average decline and the length of the bear market. So if you look at the 1920s, so this is when the Great Depression happened, you see every year they had a bear market. Almost every year for 10 straight years, they had massive declines and they lasted a very long time as well. If we go closer to the present, some of the most recent bear markets have been relatively short. So in 2008, we had a 51% drop. It lasted 400 days, but then quickly after, we had another 27% drop, but it lasted a little less, around 62 days. This recent 2020 crash lasted 33 days. I don't think anyone expected it to last this low. I was expecting, when I made my video last year, I was expecting a 12 to 15 month payback period, but I made my money back within 6 months, I believe. So this means the decrease lasted 33 days, but it doesn't mean it came back to break even within 33. It took a lot longer than that. If we go back to my my little agenda, there's a few things I want to talk about. Oh man, there's so many things I want to talk about. A few of my friends, a few of my colleagues, like I do get very frustrated at this point right here. I ask them what they're going to do with our portfolio. and they'll say, I'll buy stocks when it's at the bottom. And this is so frustrating. Like, I can't believe every single time this happens. Just 2 years ago, I saw stocks drop 50%. I bought TD Bank. I made 100% on TD Bank within just a few months. I was telling everyone, you see the stock dropping, you should buy, especially something like TD Bank, which I knew was relatively safe. Everyone kept saying, I'll buy when it's at the bottom, but it's so frustrating and people never learn. Even 2 years ago, you don't know when it's at the bottom until you know, you don't know when you're at the bottom until it's past, until you're back in a bear market. Usually, I'm back in a bull market. Usually the largest increases are the 3 to 4 months after a bear market, when you don't know you're out of it, when you don't know you're out of the bottom. You don't know that you've hit the bottom until, 2-3 years later, when you're like, hey, I should have bought, but I told you should have bought. So the same people that said this 2 years ago are doing it now. They're like, hey, I won't buy now. I'll wait till it's at the bottom. And it's so frustrating because I'm like, when would you know? Usually something hits the bottom and then it'll slowly increase, like 0.5% a day, 1% a day, just something very little. And then people will be like, I'll wait till it's at the bottom. I'll wait. But it's been slowly increasing and you haven't done anything with it. So it's just a lot of lessons to learn. A lot of people, I guess it's like human psychology doesn't change. Like if we look at the S&P 500, let's look at the last few years. In December 2018, there was a 15% correction. So it went from, let's say, 293 to 235. And then March 2020, we had a 51% drop. And again, it looks like we are having another one of those drops. But where is the bottom? When do you know it's at the bottom? It is kind of frustrating. Let's kind of go back a little bit more. Here is the financial crisis of 2008. It took a really long time to get back to break even. I believe like 2 or 3 years. So if you did purchase at the peak, 158, October 2007, it would have taken you until March 2013, which is an extremely long time. But here's what I want to point out. If you buy the S&P 500, let's say you bought it at 158 and it drops to 67. You're like, I think it'll go back to 158. But I'm not going to put any more cash into it. This is kind of frustrating because if you liked it at 158 and it's at 67, shouldn't you buy more? If you have the cash, you're basically getting a discount. Why don't you double dip or double down? So if you bought at 157, it's at 67. In order for it to get back to 157, you think it's going to go up over 100%. If you think it's going to go up over 100%, why don't you buy at 67? Bring your average cost down. Instead of your average cost, your break-even point being 160, it could be 120. And then it would only take 2 years to get back to break-even instead of 4 years or 5 years. So, I think this is a Peter Lynch saying, everyone's a long-term investor until the market starts dropping. And then all of a sudden, everyone wants to panic sell. It is kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everyone sees market dropping, so then they sell because they don't want it to lose more. So they cause a further decrease, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Everyone says it's going to go down, it will go down. They start selling to cause it to go down even further, justifying their position, justifying their move. The biggest mistake people make is not buying back in. They think it'll continually go down more. I promise, if anyone told you they bought during, March 24th, 2020 was like the bottom of the most recent like flash crash. If anyone told you they bought March 24th, they're lying. Even I didn't buy. Like I sold, I had like a $20,000 realized loss. And I took a few months off because I didn't know what the market was doing. Once I saw the market come back, that's when I started investing again. That's when I started filming my live trades on this channel. But also the reason why you're not seeing many trades or many videos of me right now is because I don't know what the market is doing. I can't make sense of it. When I can't make sense of it, I just stay out of the market. Even though I do have 50% of my portfolio deployed, I have 50% cash, but in order just to reduce the amount of stress, I am holding off. I'm waiting until I'm more confident, until I'm less stressed, until I have more idea of what the market is doing. That being said, back to what I was saying earlier. Anyone who says they bought they thought the market would come back March 24th, 2020, I do think they're lying. Almost nobody thought it would continue and it would come back this quickly, just with 3-4 weeks after the 51% drop, I believe. Another item I want to get into is crypto. Cryptocurrency is down. A lot of Bitcoin haters or crypto haters are saying like, see, I told you, like, this is going down as well. You never should have invested in it. But it's funny because stocks are going down. You can't say stocks are doing better than crypto. I believe over my investing period, my crypto has done better, but nobody said crypto wouldn't go down. That's what's kind of frustrating, hearing people happy about, Bitcoin and Ethereum going down. I don't feel, I do feel that way with NFTs. Like, I still don't understand NFTs. I do think, if you spent 300,000 on a monkey NFT and it's down 90%, kind of your fault, because it doesn't make sense to me. You've never seen an NFT video from me because I don't understand it. I don't believe in it. So I don't recommend anyone investing in it, but I do invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I do still have a mining rig where right now I earn around like $500 a month in my Ethereum mining. I used to make $1,800 a month at its peak, but it's recently dropped 47%, and the mining is getting more difficult. So you would make less, which is kind of frustrating, but it's just part of the market. People need to understand things go down. The stocks go down, markets go down. Look at it. Look over the last, let me try to choose a longer time period. If I choose 1 month, does this make sense? Look at the last 30-ish years, stocks go down. It's okay. Like, I don't understand why everyone's freaking out. If you need the money now, if you're a short-term investor, I would be upset. But also, if you needed the money soon, you shouldn't have been investing. You should have taken it out, converted it into cash or a short-term investment. You shouldn't be playing around with your down payment money. One of my subscribers, unfortunately, she invested her down payment of a house, which is $200,000, and now she's losing money. But it's like, I've always told you, like, if you need the money within a year or two, you shouldn't be investing. But if you're investing for the long term, just look at the chart. This is the S&P 500. This is the largest 500 companies in the US. It goes down every few years. It goes down. And as long as you invest for the long term, you should be fine. There have been 51 declines of 10% or more. There have been 27 declines of 20% or more. During those bear markets, stocks lose an average of 40%, which is pretty big. And here is a breakdown of all the 20% declines since 1929. It is pretty big. It is pretty bad. Hopefully we don't enter into a depression type scenario. You look at this over the last, I think it lasted 11 straight years until World War II happened, when the economy spurred. I don't really understand it. I don't look back that far in history. I look at the more recent times, like the dot-com bubble, the 2008 financial crisis, and the most recent pandemic. I do believe we're entering into a world recession. So even though it's not officially a recession, which means I think like 6 months of economic decrease, doesn't mean we're not into it. It'll be high unemployment, be high inflation. We also have to talk about inflation. Oh man, I have a lot to cover. I have a lot to cover in this video. People, I don't know. How do I talk about inflation? Inflation is good if you have debt, because the inflation decreases the value of your debt. So if you have cash, your cash is decreasing in value every day because of the high inflation. So $1 now is worth less $1 than $1 tomorrow, time value of money. Same thing with your debt. If you owe $1 million now, in a year, given our inflation is 8%, your debt is pretty much worth 8% less. So if you have debt, inflation is good. If you have a lot of cash and you're not investing, inflation is obviously bad. But in order to fight inflation, you have to take money out of the market. This is what people don't realize. This is why we'll be heading into a recession. It'll be very hard for the middle class and under. The middle class is slowly being eroded. The rich make the most amount of money during a recession. They're the ones, they'll always be fine. This doesn't really affect the upper class, I guess the top 1% or maybe even the top 5%. In order to reduce inflation, you have to take money out of the market. So inflation happens because the government kept giving out free money. When you give everyone money, they spend more, inflation increases, the money's worth less. So in order to fight it, they have to take money out of the market. That means taking money out of people's hands. So taxes have to increase, interest rates have to increase. People will be making less. So everyone wants inflation to go down, but they don't realize that involves taking money out of your pocket. So that's, Canada's getting Canada and the US, but we'll have a hard few years ahead of us, which is kind of frustrating. I feel like we just went through a hard 2 years and now we kind of have to go through a longer one. What bothers me is that everyone knew this was coming and, no one really did anything to fight it. So I knew the stock market was too bubbly. The stock market was going up. We'd have to go down eventually, like every 2 years. Like as you see, there's a 10% decrease every 2 years. but I can't time it. So I just stay in the market. I know I say this a lot. It's kind of annoying. Time in the market beats timing the market. So even though I knew a drop was coming and I kept 50% cash, I'm not going to sell my entire portfolio because I couldn't time it properly. I'd just rather just stay in. I'll own shares and I'll just sell covered calls, trying to earn some monthly income. I think I'm going to leave it here. I might release some more trading videos because work is not as busy now. So for the next 6 weeks, hopefully I can make some more content. If you're interested, please take a look at Canadian Finance Pro. I'll leave a link for it. It is $297. You'll get a 50% discount. And pretty much this will probably be the lowest you'll see the course as I add more to it. Right now it's 7 hours, 58 videos. Every month or two, I'll continually add more. And as I add more modules, like maybe a real estate module, crypto module, and then options trading, it will increase in price. So if you're interested, if you want lifetime access to all new content, consider signing up. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and tune into the next one.